Amanda LeClaire and his Moon Club.
I'm Renee Willoughby. How the band started? Well, it's a few different things that happened. Amanda and I have worked together just as close friends and also as practitioners, like as witchcraft and just other spiritual practices for some years. But we've always wanted to coalesce it in some kind of creative outlet, specific creative outlet. So Amanda had a dream,
Yeah.
and maybe Amanda will tell the dream, but the dream sort of was a prophetic thing that led to Moon Club. And then a friend of Amanda's, Kay, who lives in Port Huron, who's part of the band as well, she had been connecting with him a long time, talking about like these kinds of practices. And one day I was at her house and he called her and she decided to put him on speakerphone. We all talked about dream walking for like 2 hours and just sort of entered into a portal. And it sort of ignited a flame of all of us kind of connecting in this way. But maybe you should tell the dream.
Yeah. So in 2019, David Bowie had passed away years before. And on the fifth anniversary of his passing, this was in 2021. Right? On the anniversary of his passing, a friend and I did a little ritual to thank him for everything that he had done artistically as his persona, as David Bowie, as all the music and art and movies he put out and writing, all those things. So after we did that year, I had 5 dreams where David Bowie visited me in my dreams. And of course, like you can't say that absolutely David Bowie, but it was this energy coming in the form of this artist who meant so much to me on so many levels, right? In these dreams, David Bowie would he would tell me things, he'd give me little gifts and things like that. They all had a meaning to it, right? And in one of them, he gave me, and there's a lot to the dream, but he gave me a ring, like a toy ring, like from a craft shop. It was made of wood, and it had this like in, strange insignia on it, which I wrote down at the time. But when he gave me this ring, he said, "This is from the Moon Club. I was in it. There's a lot of people out there in it. The Moon Club." He said, "Now you're in it too. Go find the others." That's what he told me. Go find the others. And that's when the dream ended. And I kept thinking about that for a long time. And, a couple of years later, Renee happens to be visiting me. We decide to go to Port Huron on the fly to visit my friend Kay. We met him for the very first time. Happened to be like a full moon, a super moon actually. It was like a big super moon in August. We had no plans for any of this, but we're at his place right down the river, and hey, let's set up that telescope. So we do, and we're all hanging out on the river. Beautiful night, clear night, super moon, looking at the moon through a telescope, and I all of a sudden realized like this is Moon Club, right? And I told him about the dream, and we decided that we needed to do something with it, which would bring about all of us together, and just as artistically and spiritually.
Dream walking, it sort of lays into lucid dreaming and the idea of really moving through a dream consciously and being in dream world, but also being aware of dream world and navigating dream world, sort of having a control in that place and being in conversation with it, as opposed to sort of just I had a weird dream and I don't remember it or I don't think about it or I don't. It's really kind of like actively being aware of dreaming and literally moving through dreams. I don't know. What do you have some other thoughts about that?
No, I think you did a beautiful way of summing it up. Yeah, I think the word dream walking itself might be, and I'm pretty sure it's like an indigenous concept too, but all culture, like there's so many cultures have different ways of describing that thing, which like night walking could be one of them, something like that. And but that idea exactly of becoming consciously aware in your dreams and finding meaning, finding patterns, finding information in there that you can bring into your daily mundane existence, right? There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would depend on the show. So, for example, on Friday we did a David Lynch tribute show. So that really was in the spirit of him, and David Bowie was a part of that as well. He's Philip Jeffries in Twin Peaks, so we had him included. There was a Philip Jeffries coffee blend made in his honor, but it's of that. So really, Moon Club, at least up to now, we've shaped it around really what the idea of a thing is, what the ritual we're trying to do, what story we're trying to tell, and shaping that experience around that. So in this instance, it was to honor David Lynch. So we built a set that was really specific to David Lynch. We did a seance with using Estes method and in interest of communicating with them. We set coffee and pie and donut for him and put his name on there as a place for him in the bar. We had custom donuts and coffee made for the event. We had a dream interpreter at the event. And then we did a performance that included a fire ritual, and because we kind of referenced God of Light, which is this episode from the Return of Twin Peaks: The Return, where this woodsman it's a whole wild ride. And so really evoking the flame, a fire ritual, and evoking inner flame between each other and how we illuminate ourselves and each other. And then we had a couple other performers. Both did sets kind of in the spirit of David Lynch as well. We had a costume contest. So that's just one event, but really it's of that nature where it depends on what we're wanting to achieve. We'll probably do rituals based on all the elements. Right now we're on fire. Mm-hmm. Before that we were doing water. So
yeah, and it's and I think what we do is it's very experiential. We don't ever. It's never the same thing twice because we're altering it to the venue, the audience, the message that's kind of coming through at the time. So it really is.
Time of the year.
We take a lot of that into account because there's this I think there's I know you agree with me, there's a strong need to be more physically present in the world, right? We have all the technology, and David Lynch and his work has a lot addressing technology, electricity, and what these things can kind of do to us on a spiritual level. There's this strong need in the world right now to be not just present, to be part of something, and to part of something that actually feels meaningful in sort of in a spiritual sense, a spiritual hunger. So we're not trying to be on any kind of hierarchy. We're not trying to say we know the way, we know this, or we have some sort of spiritual authority in any capacity, not whatsoever. It's really just about lovingly
table setting. Really, I like to say that word a lot, but really is about table setting. It said here's a toolkit we have. Here are tools, and to kind of help initiate people a little bit about what this looks like. These are the tools you can use for a meditative practice. These are tools you can use for an introspective practice that we find to be helpful and useful, and it really comes from a vulnerable and humble place. It's not like I'm all good, I'm above it all. It's like, no, I need it. So if I need it, maybe you do too, and this is what it looks like. It's like this is just as healing and vital for me as I hope to give to you. But really also in that sense that Amanda's saying too, it is about really activating that intimacy in a community way. How can we really be together and really feel that each other? So in the fire ritual, we had these little tea lights and everyone lit each other's little candle at the end of our set as this way as you kind of, and it's a brief moment, but it's just that way of saying hello, we're here. This isn't something you can experience on a phone or experience remotely. This is something that you can be here with, and really it has a meaning that's not just about going to a show and sitting in a dark room. It's about being together
and being a part of it.
Being a part of it.
For the people that we're playing for, they are a part of the performance.
Yeah.
And as Renee mentioned, we were doing a lot of water-based work last year, and we had been inviting people up with a glass pitcher and a bowl, and pouring water and handing out glasses of water, little cups of water for everyone to drink together.
That we blessed before, during our set and at the end of the set. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is that people feel, seem to tell me and tell Renee and others that they feel very feel grounded after our performances. They feel different in a way that is, I don't know, very beneficial, I think. Meditative, really.
It is.
Yeah.
It's meant to kind of have that slowing down of all the other things in life. It said, if we have come together and we're here, how can we really kind of bring that to the fore and really be able to be here with each other, because it is sacred. Being together is sacred, and sharing of that love and connection is sacred. So that's why often we'll start with the meditation first, just to set the tone. It's like, okay, I know everyone's coming from, and we all got a lot of bramble going on in here. So let's go just kind of clear that out, protect each other, and like share this moment together. And again, it helps me too, because I'm also, before I do that, I have to kind of, okay, let's get in the zone, Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that part of what we do is about ego death in that way. Really, it's sort of being at the service of this work and nourishing each other, again, nourishing people that we're sharing it with. So is it unique? I don't know. I don't know that matters to me either. I don't know that I need that. I think that there's lots of commonalities and parallels what we're doing as other folks are doing, no doubt. But to me, I just hope it acts as a resonator, The reason I want to share some of these practices is because they made a profound impact on my life and mental health and well-being. And so I hope that maybe that can help others too. By creating more experiential moments where it is meaningful to be together and share things and be vulnerable, and centering love, which I don't know. I think we just always need, But I do think that there's an alienation and isolation about the internet that makes it more potent, in terms of how the art enters into all of that. I mean, a lot of it is like we're using spiritual practices. So there's like divination, there's, the objects that we use, the rocks, the tarot, the totems, the talismans, all of those things play a factor, the prisms. And then, our practices around that, our interests in those things. I have I have this background in performance making and collage and digital, like video art. So that enters into with what we're doing. And Kay has all this experience making like noise music and art, and that really entered into it. Amanda has all this rich experience in like writing and her ritual work and also her healing practices. And she works in radio, so she has this like really incredible frame of like building framework for what we share with people, and also like being a guide in that way as well. And we both kind of will share that in that too, because we're both kind of will be the voice a little bit more than Kay. So we're all really bringing those experiences into it to really like feed the container and like try to disseminate,
That's been such a hard road to get down. Not because there's not tools out there, just because I didn't know where to look when I was younger. I didn't even know that my nervous system was out of whack. That things I had been through, things I had been experiencing, and the stresses of all of it had like knocked me so far out of balance. I didn't even know there was balance. So I don't know if you relate to that, but it took a long way to get to a point where I generally feel safe in my body. I generally feel calm and okay and able to
able to deal with what, what's going to come next or next, whatever day or whatever next thing.
But I want to hear more about, just to saying that because people get really hard. I was really hard on myself. Like, why can't I just feel normal? Can I just do the things other people do? Why is it so hard? It took me years and years and years to find those coping ways, but I want Renee to get in that.
It took me a long time too. I think I had to unlearn a lot of bad things I learned as a child. I had to break those kind of chains a little bit and make different pathways in my mind for what that looks like to me. And I do think what we do in Moon Club Access is that the path of introspection, the meditation, all of that really helps to self-soothe and gives you a place of reflection that maybe things are a lot to process. So it helps kind of create the environment for you to process things, think about things for yourself. And whether or not you believe in the tools as magical, I think that they can just be tools for that introspection, which is powerful in itself. Because a lot of things in daily life don't really create space for that. And I think that's where a lot of source of anxiety comes from, is that not having that space to process, to deal and navigate with the stimulation that's happening, especially folks like you say, are a bit more on the introverted side of the spectrum. I think both Amanda and I are a bit more on the introverted side of the spectrum too. So really leaning into these things sort of helps us process and have a framework to understand and kind of ground ourselves. But it changes and it is like a daily practice. It doesn't go, oh, if I did it that one time, I'm all good. And I know I have to keep, reminding myself, because it's easy to fall back into the things, right? Yeah. The habits, that overthinking or the worrying or the what have you, and then go, okay, you know what? I need to redirect and put into this. And I think creativity can be a really powerful place for that, to go. Yeah.
Yeah. There's at its most basic level, looking for stats, we say there is a thing that person can do that helps, that is very basic and simple. It's really just breathing. Like, breathe slow, breathe deep. So stupidly simple, but it took me until the last few years to actually practice. And I forget all the time, but I make a point of just like having 5 minutes to just,